It's Wednesday, February 8th, and this is 5 on 20 News, where we've got the news of the day and the newscasters are gay, with Luke Goodhart
and Sean Madrid, coming to you live from our studio in downtown Tucson. First, the local headlines.
A report by the Office of Economic Opportunity shows that Arizona had job growth in many areas last year, with the most going to education and health services. Non-farm employment gained about 32,000 jobs in 2016, with hospitality and construction also seeing strong growth. Unemployment in the state was at 4.8% in December, a drop of 1.1% since 2015, the lowest level in 9 years, according to the report. Arizona was hit particularly hard during the Great Recession of 2008, and for the first time since is within 0.1% of the national unemployment rate. Christine McKay, Director of Community and Economic Development for the City of Phoenix, says that high-quality graduates from the state's universities, combined with the low cost of doing business, contributed to the growth. Asked about the recent report, Trump's border wall said it can't wait to grow up and ruin the state's economy.
Arizona Representative Raul Grijalva says that society will come to regret the nomination of Betsy DeVos, who was appointed as Education Secretary yesterday. Grijalva said that, quote, "The impact will scar our society as a whole, stunning our ability to accomplish great feats, and that she will help create a two-tiered society made of those who can and cannot afford high-quality education." DeVos was criticized for championing private schools and for-profit charter schools in her native Michigan. She comes from the billionaire DeVos family, who made their fortune from Amway products. DeVos is also a high-level fundraiser for the Republican Party and has given money to groups backed by the Koch brothers, among others. Her confirmation hearing last week was a high-profile disaster, with Democratic senators criticizing the nominee for not working or not knowing basic issues involved in public education, such as the difference between growth and proficiency. Grijalva also pointed out that DeVos has zero experience running public schools and called her incompetent in the field of education. Republicans say that DeVos will empower states over the federal government to make decisions regarding public education. Arizona Senator Jeff Flake said that he was happy to have DeVos on board and that he looks forward to working with her to roll back the federal government's reach into education. He also looks forward to the day when every student in the nation will all know their ACBs and be able to recite the Declaration of Indigo Pendants.
The Pima County Board of Supervisors is appealing a Superior Court decision regarding Worldview, a space exploration company looking to establish a base in Tucson. Last week, the court ruled that the county violated state law by offering Worldview a contract without offering competitive bids. According to state law, the county is supposed to appraise the property, hold a public auction, and then negotiate a fair price based on the appraisal. Worldview agreed to lease the complex for 20 years, promising $4 million in profit for the county after 20 years, although there's no guarantee that the company will be around that long. The company is looking to offer balloon rides that go into the stratosphere and cost several $1,000s. With Tucson being one of the poorest cities in the state, it would seem that Worldview's business isn't exactly surefire. The Goldwater Institute, a libertarian think tank, launched the original lawsuit against Pima County, with which the state Superior Court sided. 3 Democrats voted to appeal the decision, while the 2 Republicans on the panel opposed the measure. Democrats, including County Administrator Chuck Huckleberry, says it puts the state's economy in danger because Worldview will simply go to another surrounding state like California, New Mexico, or Nevada. After he calmed down, Huckleberry admitted that he really just wanted to hawk a loogie from one of the balloons to see if it would freeze in midair.
An Arizona appeals court ruled that it won't reconsider a 2016 decision to provide driver's licenses to DACA recipients. This comes even as some judges think that the court should address a fundamental question of presidential power. The state has asked the court to reconsider in light of a possible reversal of the law by Donald Trump. Arizona had originally denied licenses to DACA recipients, but a 3-judge panel overruled the decision last year, ruling that the state should follow federal law. DACA, or Deferred Action on Childhood Arrivals, was signed into law by the Obama administration in 2012. It targets children who arrived in the country before the age of 16 and states that they won't be deported. A federal court later ruled that Obama had the authority to set immigration law, which later set the stage for driver's licenses to be given to DACA recipients. Attorney General Mark Brnovich said that his own office would study the decision and decide on the next steps with the Department of Transportation. If his case fails, then Brnovich says that he will resume an investigation in search of the missing vowels in his name.
A neuropsychologist from Paradise Valley has created a device that she claims can calm certain types of anxiety. Dr. Amy Sarin created what she calls buzzies, which are worn on your wrist or put in your pocket. The device sends signals to the brain to change how information is processed. The process is called bilateral alternating stimulation, also known as BLAST. She says the technology has been used for the last few decades, and she simply changed the way the information is delivered. BLAST inhibits stress responses while also improving memory, which has been shown to be affected by stress. She hopes that the device can be used for people suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, along with stress and anxiety disorders, which are the most common in the U.S. Melissa de Gianfilippo, a spokeswoman for the company, said that they are currently pursuing peer review, but it could take up to 2 years to be approved. The company is now collaborating with universities in order to conduct more research. The buzzies have been on the market since December at a cost of $239 and have already sold over 2,000 units. However, the buzzy does not cure stress caused by shelling out over $200 for a useless gadget.
570 students have signed a petition accusing the Tucson police of unfairly targeting college students. The petition involves the practice of law enforcement issuing so-called red tags, which are given to students if a resident complains about a disturbance. Red tag recipients have to pay a fine of $500 if they are found to have taken part in, quote, an unruly gathering, which is defined as a group of 5 or more people. Roberto Merkel, a student at the University of Arizona, was one student who signed the petition, stating that the police have increased the supply of red tags around the campus. However, the Tucson Police Department says that they have not changed their red tag policy, although they didn't provide numbers to back up this claim. The petition demands that the police change their policy on red tags and will be delivered to Mayor Jonathan Rothschild once it reaches 750 signatures. The students delivering the petition will then be given a red tag for their unruly gathering.
Mayor Jonathan Rothschild declared Tuesday to be National Clash Day in honor of the British band, which was known for their progressive politics. Tucson joined Austin, Ithaca, New York, Kent, Ohio, San Francisco, Seattle, Vancouver, and Washington, D.C. in celebrating. The Joe Strummer Foundation, named after the Clash lead singer and guitarist who died in 2002, organizes the commemoration. Community radio station KXCI dedicated time on Tuesday to play the Clash's music to ring in the event. The Tucson Clash Day proclamation stated that the Clash used the power of music to share messages of peace, unity, anti-imperialism, anti-racism, poverty awareness, and freedom of expression. It also mentioned how the Clash played the Tucson Convention Center in 1983 and influenced many Tucson artists, such as Hal Gelb, who formed his band Giant Sand the same year. Mesa, Arizona, considered the most conservative city in America, countered by having their own Ted Nugent Appreciation Day, celebrating by hunting Democrats in the street with crossbows.
And yesterday, at the Tucson City Council meeting, someone complained about the supposed inaction of Creative Tucson, specifically that there's no content being created. What are we doing right now? And every weekday, live at 5 p.m. Anyway, I take umbrage with that, since we introduced this show on Election Day back in November of last year. We have covered more than 1,000 stories, 365 of them being about our local community. We have more than 25 active team members that have been trained to run sound, anchor, operate cameras, write, produce, and direct these shows that we air every single weekday. Many of our members started with no video experience, and many can now perform every job needed to produce a high-quality modern show. 5 on 20 News team members have interviewed more than 70 people and produced more than 65 segments on local politics, arts, culture, music, and more. 5 on 20 News team members have spent more than 90 hours per week producing programming and have created 65 solid hours of content. All of these stats refer to just this single show. All of that is in 3 short months since we have had the capability to go live. So there's that, Mr. Price. Feel free to come by and see what we're doing any weekday after 3:30 p.m. and any Saturday starting at 9 a.m. Let's watch a video from that meeting.
I'm standing here this evening to object to a lack of public access in this city. As most of the people in the city know, at least the people who had cable, for over 30 years, Access Tucson produced thousands of hours of live and live-to-tape programming on a number of subjects. Some of it was just entertainment, and some of it was serious politics, like my Thomas Jefferson show, or my 189 episodes of A New City Government for Tucson. In any case, 2 years ago, you put out an IFP for a new management for Channel 12 and Access Tucson. And in June, 2 years from this coming June, you chose a provider, Creative Tucson, which had never produced a single hour of access anywhere. And part of the IFP was to produce access to cablecast these city council meetings, and there were a couple other things like promoting economic development in Tucson. Now, you gave the contract, you took the contract from an established professional organization and gave it to a entity which doesn't know what they're doing because they haven't produced this for almost 2 years, and we've seen I've seen one cable program, a Babbleathon, that looked like it had just been taped somewhere, and that's it. And people, I mean, they're either not capable or they just have no intention of producing any public access. And yet the contract that you gave them $300,000 for a year, for 2 years, to produce public access, as well as these city council meetings. The city council meetings, the video has been terrible. I mean, you all looked orange for most of last year, seriously.
Now in national and international news.
A House committee has voted to eliminate an independent election commission intended to help the states improve their voting systems. Republicans overwhelmingly voted to get rid of the agency 2 days after Donald Trump appointed his Vice President Mike Pence to investigate what he claims was voter fraud in the 2016 election. However, no one has revealed any proof to back up the allegations of fraud. Trump tweeted 2 weeks ago about the fraud and told congressional leaders that illegal immigrants, his favorite scapegoat, had cast 3 to 5 million ballots. The election committee was set up in 2000 after the contentious election where George W. Bush won despite claims of voter irregularities in Florida. Republicans claim that the vote was intended to reduce the size of government. Representative Greg Harper, the chairman of the House committee, said that, quote, "We don't need fluff and that this is a perfect example of something that can be eliminated," meaning something that helps make sure that elections are fair. Democrats opposed the bill, along with voters' rights groups who said that the commission played a key role in protecting elections from hacking and other interference. As part of the commission, Congress issued almost $3.3 billion to states to upgrade voting systems. Also yesterday, the same committee voted to completely eliminate the public financing system, which has been in place since 1976. This system allows presidential candidates to be given money as long as they don't seek additional funds. President Obama was the first presidential candidate to refuse public financing, and elections ever since have been dominated by big money from so-called dark money groups and super PACs. To replace the Independent Election Commission, Republicans will set up a new committee that will meet inside a money-blowing machine.
France's ex-president Nicolas Sarkozy is accused of hiding 18 million euros of campaign spending in 2012, which Sarkozy denies and says he will appeal. Sarkozy ended up losing the election to current President François Hollande, but not before he was accused of cooperating with a French PR company to hide the cash. The PR firm Big Malian invoiced Sarkozy's center-right Republican Party rather than the candidate's campaign. This allowed Sarkozy to spend twice the amount of money allowed in French politics. Employees at Pygmalion have admitted to knowing about the scheme, and other members of the Republican Party are already facing charges. 13 people in all are expected to stand trial over the incident. This comes at a time when another French politician from the same party, François Fillon, is facing his own financial scandal. Fillon is accused of misusing public funds to give his wife and his 2 children jobs. This sets up far-right candidate Marine Le Pen for a possible win in France's presidential election in May. If you thought Donald Trump was rough, he's a socialist compared to Le Pen, who has been unabashed about her opposition to immigrants in the country. But she faces her own potential scandal as she is accused by the European Parliament of illegally paying an aide at her National Front Party's headquarters in Paris. Le Pen maintained her innocence on Twitter, blaming faux news and calling French magazine Charlie Hebdo le déplorable.
Well, it looks like refugees are now fleeing the United States, which must make Donald Trump a happy orange boy. Uncertainty over the president's recent Muslim ban has sent refugees rushing towards the Canadian border in an attempt to prevent being forced to return to their home countries. Last week, 8 people in one day claimed refugee status after they walked over the border, which is the highest daily number of refugee claims in Canada so far. Royal Canadian Mounted Police says that another 22 people walked across the border over the weekend, with the refugees passing over barren fields covered in snow. A 2004 pact between Canada and the U.S., known as the Safe Third Country Agreement, states that migrants must apply for asylum in the first country in which they arrive. As a result, Canadian authorities say that refugees are seeking more dangerous routes in order to avoid customs officials so that they can safely live in the country. More than 7,000 refugees arrived in Canada in 2016, up 63% from the year before. Another 2,000 are thought to be in the country illegally, according to reports by Reuters. One example is Seydou Mohamed, who escaped Ghana because he was persecuted for being gay and Muslim. After his asylum claim was rejected by the U.S., he journeyed through North Dakota over dark fields until he and another man almost died from frostbite when they finally reached a Canadian highway. Mohammed had to have all of his fingers amputated after being taken to the hospital. Rita Chahal, who runs the Manitoba Interfaith Immigration Council, thinks that migrants will continue to make these treacherous trips into Canada if anti-refugee sentiment continues in the U.S. She said that the recent Muslim ban and the executive order setting up a wall on the Mexican border won't stop immigration, but will only send it underground, where refugees face heightened risks, particularly in the Canadian winter. Hundreds of protesters last week convened on the U.S. Embassy in Ottawa and formed a human chain demanding that Canada tear up the Safe Third Country Agreement. But Ahmed Hussein, Canada's immigration minister, said the agreement is an important tool for the 2 countries to work together to process immigration claims. Amnesty International has also called for the ending of the agreement, stating that Canada cannot wait to see how things continue to develop in the days and weeks to come. Donald Trump said that he's considering extending his refugee ban to Canada because he heard from great people that Putin hacked the 2016 election.
Comrade, Russian President Vladimir Putin went ahead yesterday and made sure that domestic violence is nice and legal in his country. Putin signed into law a controversial amendment that decriminalizes domestic violence, which kills a woman every 40 minutes in Russia. The law flew through both houses of the Russian parliament, likely with a bottle of vodka in hand, which angered critics who said it sends the wrong message. According to the law, beatings of spouses or children that result in bruising or bleeding are punishable by 15 days in prison or a fine, as long as they don't happen more than once a year. Previously, the charges brought a jail sentence of 2 years, but the Russian government showed their soft side when they made an exception for domestic violence that causes bleeding, which will still be charged under the old sentencing laws. Alina Popova, a Russian activist who opposes the bill, said she would understand if the law were passed together with a bill intended to battle domestic abuse in the country. However, a proposed law on the subject has stalled in the parliament. Defenders of the law say that family members are punished more severely than violence committed against a non-family member. Olga Batalina, a Russian MP who supported the law, says that she doesn't think that it's okay to hit, but the question is how to punish people. The Russian Orthodox Church also supported the bill, stating that the government should not be able to poke their noses into the businesses of family. Domestic violence has a long, complicated tradition in Russia and is normally accepted in society. Last week, the state propaganda tabloid Pravda published an article which said that abused wives are lucky because they give birth to more boys. The paper said that battered wives should be proud of their bruises. The article appeared in the science section of the paper. Another article in the same paper explained how cluster bombs are great for dry skin, especially for those living in Crimea.
A bill introduced by 2 Republicans would reduce the number of immigrants allowed into the country by half. Senators Tom Cotton and David Perdue introduced the Reforming American Immigration for Strong Employment, or RAISE Act, which would halve the amount of immigrants let into the country over the next 10 years. The bill would also end green card preferences for adult parents, siblings, or children of U.S. citizens, with preference being kept for spouses and minor children of U.S. citizens. It would also eliminate the visa lottery that gives out 50,000 visas to countries that don't currently send a significant number of immigrants into the country. The visa lottery was established to increase diversity in the United States. If the bill passes, about 539,000 immigrants would be let in over 10 years, compared with over 1 million allowed to immigrate in 2015 alone. Jeanne Shaheen, a Democratic senator from New Hampshire, said that the bill sends, quote, a terrible message to the rest of the world and is unquestionably a job killer. She said that immigrants contribute to the entrepreneurial spirit of the country and create job growth in her state. The White House has not yet spoken on the legislation, but Cotton says he's talked to Trump, who strongly supports the concept of the bill. Cotton said that the bill would return to historical norms of immigration in the U.S. and would, quote, start getting a handle on legal immigration. Cotton also said he wants to return to historical norms on health care by re-releasing the polio virus in the U.S.
It looks like Donald Trump isn't the only Trump looking to cash in from the White House. Melania Trump refiled a $150 million lawsuit against the publisher of the UK newspaper The Daily Mail, who reported rumors that Melania worked as an escort in the 90s. According to the lawsuit, Melania claims that the reports would hurt her chances of establishing, quote, multi-million-dollar businesses during her years as First Lady, in which she'll be one of the most photographed women in the world. Melania first filed suit back in September, accusing the Daily Mail blogger Webster Tarpley of reporting, quote, 100% false rumors. The suit was dismissed because it was filed in the state of Maryland, which the judge ruled was not the correct place to file because the Daily Mail is based in the UK. However, the new lawsuit was filed in New York, where the Daily Mail does have offices. The updated suit stated that Melania lost significant value to her brand because of the article. The suit also says that she had the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to establish a broad-based commercial brand in multiple product categories. Melania, her lawyer, Charles Harder, says that the suit is being misinterpreted and she is not trying to cash in on being the First Lady. Harder is one of the most high-profile entertainment lawyers, most famous for defending Hulk Hogan in his $130 million suit against Gawker Media, which caused the site to shut down. The suit was partially financed by Silicon Valley entrepreneur Peter Thiel, who is now one of Donald Trump's advisors. The suit comes weeks after critics point out that the White House website mentioned Melania's TV appearances and product lines in what looked like an endorsement. Next month, Melania plans to trot her new line of pepper spray called Pepperiana, which she frequently uses on her husband.
And I wanted to take a moment to talk about the program you're watching right now. Here at 5 on 20, we are undertaking a new kind of citizen journalism. We are going to give you the news as we see it, and we want more people to speak up with us. We need writers, hosts, anchors, camera people, sound people, the whole gamut. The times require a new way of informing ourselves. So join us. Do it. Do it now. Email us at info@creativetucson.org to get involved. And if you think there's a story we're missing, a person we should interview, an upcoming event we should cover, or have any news tips for us, shoot us an email to info@creativetucson.org. We are here for you, and we want to cover all stories from all points of view, so don't be strangers. This was Luke Goodhart.
And Sean Madrid for Stripes on 20 News. Next up, Sophie Gibson Rush tells us what's what with music.
Good one.
Here with Strong Sound, and today I'm joined by Jocelyn Gaffner, the City Director of So Far Sounds. First, we're going to watch a quick promo video about So Far. That video is amazing.
I know, I love it too.
So, Jocelyn, what is So Far?
Well, So Far is a global organization that exists in over 300 cities worldwide now. And the motto is to bring the magic back to live music by making shows intimate.
How is that done? Because it's really different, the way that it brings the scale down.
Yeah, definitely. So it's they're technically secret shows, but when I say that, sometimes people are thrown off. They're like, "What do you mean? That sounds so exclusive." And I mean, in a sense, it is exclusive, but
it's exclusive for a reason.
For a reason, right? Because we want to make the shows a place solely for the arts. So you go and you're not allowed to talk during the performances. No cell phones, just the music. Anyone can go, you just have to sign up online. And as long as there's space left in the venue, then anyone's invited.
And so what are the venues?
They can be anything, really, just depending on whatever we find. We're always looking for new venues. We've done one at a hair salon right down the street, Belle Star, but they're typically houses, which kind of add to the intimate vibe of the shows.
Yeah, and it's all seated, you said earlier, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so all the focus is on the performer and the music, and they're also filmed, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So that's another important aspect.
Yeah.
The shows are all filmed, and that's kind of how we compensate the artists. So we'll, instead of giving them money, we'll have one edited video for them available of one of their songs that they perform at a show.
Yeah.
And they're pretty cool. They have a nice aesthetic to them. I mean, you don't really
that's worth a huge amount, just a live performance video to have in your cachet as a band.
I think so.
Yeah,
I mean,
super valuable.
And the boys are obviously very talented at
Yeah,
editing
who's
these
involved?
videos. We have a pretty decent-sized group of people. We have Jacob Gonzalez, who edited all those videos and has been editing all our videos.
Cool.
And Jack Alexander, Robert Upchurch, the sound guys, Daniel and Zach.
Are you looking for any extra help?
Yes, definitely.
Sounds like it's fun.
Please. If anyone who knows how to audio file stuff, I don't even know the terminology, that's how much help I need. Please contact me or any of us at So Far Sounds. And if you're into videos as well, you want to learn, just reach out.
So how did you get involved in So Far? Because it's a global organization, like you said. How does a girl from Tucson get involved in something like this?
Well, I was studying abroad, and it was great, but it took me a while to feel like fully immersed in the culture or accepted I was in France, and I befriended this girl from London, which is actually where it started, and she kind of dragged me along to one of these shows. And the second I was there, I just felt so welcomed, and I could feel literally the magic of a So Far show, because you get there and everyone's open to talk to you. Like, sit down next to someone, they'll be willing to share a glass of wine with you, and then you'll be talking to someone, and all of a sudden they're performing. You didn't know they were the artists. It's pretty.
Yeah, and we were saying earlier that there's something really special about a show where everyone really wants to be there.
Right.
Every single person in that room is there to orient themselves towards music.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that is probably what a huge component of the magic aspect of So Far. But yeah, I feel like. Yeah.
So how do people participate?
It's different every month. I mean, as far as the guest list goes, it's just however many people can fit in the venue.
Right.
That we have probably a group of about 15 people making these shows come together every month.
So how would a musician who wants to perform, how would they go about finding you guys and signing up?
Yeah, I mean, there's this contact us button on the So Far Sounds website, which you can just press, and it'll send you directly to a kind of database where you can input your name and what you're looking to do with So Far. You can also just email us at Tucson@sofarsounds.com.
Awesome.
Pretty straightforward.
That's so great. So it's a global organization. You are in charge of the whole Tucson circle. Why Tucson? What do you love about the music scene here? What have you gained from the music scene here?
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about the talent in Tucson. And it's so diverse. I mean, you have everything here. And so, I mean, there are a lot of venues in Tucson, but I feel like this kind of plug is a little bit different.
Right.
And gives you a different outlet and a different way to admire and appreciate music. And we also have the space, which is awesome. The houses in Tucson are amazing. They make for a beautiful backdrop for all the videos, which is different than a lot of other cities.
Yeah, I noticed that in watching some of the videos. So we're gonna go out on, actually first, what's coming up next for So Far? What's the next show?
We have a show coming up next week on the 16th of December. And just sign up online. We'll tell you where it is.
And do we know who's playing yet? Or?
Oh yeah, that's a secret, Sophie.
Oh, okay. Gotcha, but not an exclusive secret.
Not
You'll
an
find
exclusive
out.
secret, yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to go out on an older video. It was actually your first one, right,
First one,
here in
yeah.
Tucson. And this is Casey Golden, who is coming out with an album, and that's out on the 17th, I believe. But next week, he's going to be here on the show. We just confirmed. Yay! So this is Casey Golden playing at SoFar, and enjoy, and I'll see you next week.
Got my love kept in my pocket. I've seen it twice since last fall. Got my name where I could lock it, or in a hole in the wall. My friends, they don't come easy. Telling me about gold sounds when I'm home. Strange skies falling, and the door